Hello, greetings yet again from snowy Waliczka near Krakow in Poland. Starting as usual by predictably turning the music down. So, what am I playing today, you might ask? I doubt it, but you might. Andrew Liles. Life is an empty place. In a nice gatefold sleeve. This is an old album, of his, and yeah, it arrives in a gatefold sleeve. I can't remember the label behind it, but I do like the fact that on the back cover and on the inside of the sleeve, you've got letters exchanged between Andrew Liles and I think it's Royal Mail, so the postal service in Britain, whereby it looks, I don't know, it looks like they overpaid him and he spent the money. so, and then they tried recovering their overpaid money. So anyway, yeah, very, very enjoyable. But I'm not here to talk about Andrew Liles' old releases. I do want to touch on the latest regarding his album Me for Lumberton Trading Company, however. But we'll do that in a minute. Firstly, I want to go back to this. Kleistwahr The Battlefield is Everywhere. This is a new copy, unopened. I have to say, and somebody mentioned this as well, that the shrink wrapping on this album is not that good. They are all like this. Yeah, it looks like the shrink wrap is a little too taut, and it's kind of bending the sleeve slightly. So I should have raised a complaint, really, but I didn't. Probably because I was just too occupied with other things. But anyway, I've shipped most of the copies now, probably 99% of them. And I bemoaned this in the last YouTube upload, but I haven't had a great deal of orders for this, and I've only had a few trades as well. And yeah, I kind of ranted a little about that last time. And Gary Mundy, the person behind Kleistwahr, and of course the man behind Broken Flag, the record label of yore, and Ramley and various other endeavours, guitarist in Breathless as well. He wrote to me. And he's a very nice guy. He said he said, you know, he's disappointed that things were not going as well as anticipated. But he quite rightly said maybe it doesn't help, or I don't think he was direct with this, but he implied that it doesn't help if I'm kind of moaning about the lack of sales. So and he's right, because what he then went on to explain is that this is actually his best album yet, and I would level that argument against everything he does. I mentioned the fact last time that maybe people feel a little overwhelmed with Kleistwahr releases, but it's only one a year. I know artists who are far more prolific, including Andrew Liles, funny enough, who seem to just, you know, put out releases, you know, new releases every second month. So, and I'm not criticising that either, you know. So, but he's not that prolific, you know. Ramley, until the recent album, hadn't done an album for several years. There's one new Kleistwahr album a year, and then in the meantime, there might be a reissue So it's not that great, but um, maybe people feel that I don't know. Maybe they feel that's still too much. I don't know. But that's what I said last time. And Gary then said, suggested that I hadn't actually said how good this is, and he was absolutely right to say it is a fantastic record. It's pretty noisy in places as well, and really, it draws from Gary's usual sources for Kleistwahr's work. His MO being kind of organ drones, a deep fug, being churned away alongside that, and his guitar work, and sometimes I think there are electronics in there as well, and then his, and again I was kind of joking, and it's just based on what some people say. I mentioned the fact that Gary does these groaning, moaning vocals last time, but obviously that was tongue in cheek. It's anguished, it's they're kind of despairing, and it all creates a certain sound. It all adds up to create a certain sound that I think Gary excels at, and he does. Although he works within this remit, within. Although he continues to mostly work within that same environment, he does keep pushing himself. It's not like he's just just keeping to the template, as it were. He does keep pushing, and again, it's quite dynamic. It's pretty intense at times. I think it's fair to say that all Kleistwahr's music, all of the releases, still have this kind of undercurrent and sometimes more pronounced element of dare I say, noise. Yes, it might be more tempered, might be hemmed in considerably, but it's still there, and it's quite an intense listen. Also, Gary's pretty good generally at keeping his albums to a reasonable length. Some people might argue that's not value for money, but I think an album such as this one, being kept to around the 40 to 45 minute mark, is brilliant. It's the classic album length, and it works really well. So if you haven't got this yet, think about getting a copy. It's a really good place to start if you haven't already picked anything up. And I've said this many times as well. You can get this as part of the ongoing CD deal. 7 CDs with shipping. I think they're I always forget this, £42 total worldwide shipping, although we still have a problem with America, so but I'll go into that in a while. You can get that. You can get the Fallen Sun CD, you can get the Michael Cashmore, you can get the Theme CD if you wish, although stock is rapidly going. I think we have 15 copies left, 16, I don't know, I haven't counted for a while, but not many anyway. And then there's the Morality double CD about to go into production, and that will be followed by the Tungu and Tabata Mitsuru CD, which was supposed to come out this year, late this year, but I said this to somebody, and I said this to somebody in an email a few days ago. If you probably to the designer friend, Puppy38, once you start thinking about new releases in September, October, it's inevitable that they might not happen until the early part of the following year, just because of delays with production. and there's always a huge surge before Christmas. I'll mention the Richard Youngs thing in a minute as well, to that end. Always a massive surge. It's ridiculous. You know, people always want their music, their new releases out before Christmas. I don't give a fuck about that, because Christmas doesn't really mean a great deal to me personally, beyond, you know, seeing my daughter and family kind of happy. So, but I'm not religious, so it means nada. But anyway, yeah. There is always this rush, you know, before Christmas. So, yeah. So the Morality double CD might not happen until February, unfortunately, because then there's always this kind of post-Christmas, early New Year haze, you know, and you kind of have to part your way through it, struggle, you know, fight with. I mean, here in Poland, there's a winter holiday as well, which only affects schools, but nonetheless, many people have children, and it means that, you know, for 2 weeks in either January or February, everything's kind of slow again. So it's not a great time of the year, the beginning of the year. But Morality will be next. That is going to be the next release. And then, as I said, Tabata and Tungu, the collaborative release. I might only do 100 of those. So I think it's going to be a hard sell, to be honest. I really like it. I like these collaborations that they did, but yeah, it's going to be tough. Things are really difficult. You know, I say this things are really fucking difficult at the moment. You know, as proven, it's awful. It really is. Yeah, I very often feel like, you know, this is a recurring feeling anyway, but I very often feel like giving up, and you know, and then, you know, just try and repay everybody, and you know, and just do more teaching work. You know, just immerse myself more heavily in the real world, the so-called real world. But this is in my blood. It's very hard to shake off. I do have a kind of compulsion to keep working at this, but it is very disheartening, you know, to see this kind of overwhelming lack of interest, you know, towards what I do with my labels. That, you know, as proven with the subscription series, the elite editions, and I'll go into that in a minute as well. This series, which is limited to 150, or more effectively 120, 125 by the time royalty copies have got out. I pre-sold 85. I can guarantee if it was on some hipster trendy label, they'd have all sold out within a month. I'm still struggling to push, you know, this series to people. So maybe it doesn't help that I do these and I'm ranting and raving and moaning about everything, but hopefully at the same time I'm providing a little insight into some of the shit that goes on behind the scenes, you know. It is, and it's not exclusive to me. I know other people who run small labels encounter exactly the same problems. When you're dealing with difficult music of all kinds, whether it's, you know, sound art, electroacoustic, noise, you know, I mean, I think that's kind of the more accessible end, to be honest. But you know, work like, you know, kind of dark psychedelic, you know, dark psychedelia, post-punk, post-industrial inspired noise music, you know, whatever the music is, it is really, really difficult. Of course, there are a few exceptions. There always are. There always have been. you know, a few labels, a few artists that sort of, you know, break through, um, and you know, can sell a new release within, you know, within days or weeks, you know, or at least the lion's share of them. That's never been the case for me. Outside of the Sleaford Mods Jolly Fucker single years ago, which I just had to keep doing more editions of to keep up with the demand, which enabled me to have a little fun with it as well. You know, different colours and all the rest of it. But yeah, and what was the other recent release? The Extended Network double LP Albus. I've still got signed postcards here available to send out with copies of that, direct orders. The pre-orders, I think maybe there are 2 or 3 still waiting to go. I've still got to send another few out on top of that. But I think I've got 150 copies of that album, between that and 200, just sat here. It doesn't fit in with the people, yeah, my network of people who prefer my noisier releases, the more abrasive stuff. So because it's kind of softer electronics, pretty cinematic as well, and it's got beats, but very subdued sort of beats. It doesn't fit in with, you know, what most of my network want from me. So yeah, in that sense, it's another hard sell. So I'm now thinking, oh, that's too late. You know, I'm now thinking I should have just done 700 copies of this album, Albus. But it's Andrew Fearn's Sleaford Mods. I can guarantee again, if it was on, yeah, if Rough Trade had bloody done it, it would sell out. Yeah, or Pan, to use a, you know, to refer to a you know, more to a lesser known label. Yeah, yeah, it is bloody difficult. I've got unsold stock everywhere, and I don't know what to do with it. I'm running out of space again. Not enough people are buying things. I need to raise serious money in the next few weeks to pay for Albus. I can't use Elite Editions money. It's separate. But I've got a huge bill dangling in front of me. In fact, I'll go off at a tangent here and say I don't know if I did it last time. I'm going to put the donations thing there with a message, and yeah, please, if you feel like supporting what I do with the labels, then yeah, there's a donation button. So if anyone's got £10,000 to spare, send it my way. If you've got a rich uncle or whatever. Oh, I mean, it's absolutely crazy. Again, very frustrating, all of this. I'm you know, I don't want to sound like you know, an old whinge bag every time I come here, but you know, always griping about this or that. But it's the reality of things. It's really difficult, and I just think people don't have spare cash anymore for things like this. So the little surplus money they have will be spent on other things that they need, you know. So far more important things. So yeah, you know, even a treat trip to the pub. So yeah, it's atrocious. So yeah, I mentioned the fact that the CD schedule is delayed. It has to be, because I'll brandish this one more time. Cargo are not going out on this until the new year. They're going out on it in January. I can't even send copies to them until next week for December. Darren at Cargo, my friend, my contact there, doesn't want these. Yeah, and it doesn't make sense to send them before anyway, because I have to pay for storage. That's another thing you have to do. They use a logistics company, and every month I lose X amount of money in storage costs. It's crazy. So, you know, they might say, here are the sales for this month, and they might look good, but then, you know, they take their cut. Not complaining, that's their job. They need to get paid for that. That's how they survive. And then there's the storage as well, also deducted. And by the time those costs have been deducted, there's not a lot left. So it's not good. And there aren't many mail orders either now. So and even labels that I trade with, some of them are refusing to, because they all want money. So no, not doing a trade because I want to sell. Well, sorry, I haven't got any money to fucking buy anything. So I bought some nature and organisation albums from Svart in, where are they? Sweden, Denmark, Finland, I can't remember. Some Scandinavian country. I bought those because I knew, there was some demand for that. People were asking me, can you get the nature and organisation album? And I knew it was worth me buying some copies just to sell to these people. So that's an exception. I can't buy anything. I do trades with people. Zaharam, Cold Spring. I've done it with Tesco in Germany, Freak Animal, many others, Antenna Non Grata here in Poland. There's no money here, which will tie in with how I want to end this upload this time, and I want to keep an eye on the time. So I've just mentioned the CDs running behind schedule, so that's clear. And again, it's worth investing in the 7 CD deal. Other delays are, well, the latest word on Richard Young's Zulakrex LP is that it will be ready the first week of December. And that's going through the same plant as the Andrew Liles To Arrive at Nowhere LP, the first LP in the sub-series, Elite Editions. And that was supposed to happen by the end of this year. But Andrew, 2 weeks ago, found a glitch, an error on his copy of the test pressing. I only sent him one because normally that's all I have to do with anybody. But he found this error, so I've sent another one, which I hope he'll have received by now, or he'll be receiving any time around now. And I hope that will be okay. And if not, we're fucked. I'll have to order another set. So again, it will delay everything. Andrew's LP is the first in the sub-series, which was supposed to commence late 2025. Well, after next week, we're into December. And already the pressing plant behind the Richard Young Zulakrex album is saying they'll hopefully have that album ready at the beginning of December. And that's the same plant I'm using for Andrew Liles. It'll be January, late January, by the time it's ready. So it's kind of out of my hands. I've already had a couple of people complain to me about the subscription series, although it was always designed to start at the end of this year. But I always overlook the fact things intensify at the year's end, and if there's a problem, then there's absolutely no chance of something happening. So this is what I'm up against. And if you know anybody who's interested in the subscription series, Elite Editions, with albums coming by, again, Andrew Liles, Era App X, Reverse Image, Base Communion, Soviet France, and Nipmot. So 6 albums, all exclusive, all very limited, 150 copies of each. If you know anybody who might be interested, there are still 30 pre-orders up for grabs. spread the word, you know. So, and you don't have to send in a full payment. There are 3 options in the shop. There's full payment, split payment, and the 3-way payment. And again, I really feel put out by the fact that if this idea had happened anywhere else, it would have probably long gone. You know, every copy would have been accounted for. But no, it's ludicrous. I'm hoping a couple of the artists in the near future will do a little push. But anyway, and they're probably waiting for the Andrew Liles LP to happen before, you know, realising that it's game on. So yeah, so Edward Caspell's The Sympathy Portal LP is also snagged at the test pressing stage. So that probably won't happen until early next year as well. There's no way it'll happen before Christmas. So I'll probably change I am going to change the design. So it's got 2026 on instead of 2025. And then there's Nip Mott, that album. That will follow the Andrew Liles one. And there's something else. Richard Young, Zula Crex. No, that's it. Edward Caspell, Richard Young's, and Andrew Liles. And then there'll be the next release in the subscription series. So I've covered all of that. So everything's just running behind schedule. Next year, I'm hoping to have a little more time for finishing the Grim Humour book in the early months of next year, and the Nip Mott book. I mean, they're overdue as well. They should have happened last year. But between, I've said this before, between work, family commitments, and just how the labels are now, and sometimes my trying to write elsewhere, I've just had a piece published in the latest edition of the annual, published by it's coffee, not whiskey, published by Corm Plastics in the Netherlands, you know, Frans de Waard's publishing house. So I've just had a piece published in the latest edition of the annual, but I haven't got copies here yet, so I can't brandish one. So I think I've said everything. There was something else though. I mentioned American Post. I read a few days ago, maybe at the beginning of this week, that things were starting to resume, but no, they're not. I spoke with the lady at the post office yesterday about it, and she said no sign. Still no post to America from Poland and many other countries. It's not exclusive to Poland, since late August. I've got loads of orders waiting to go to America. I sent some when I was in England last month, and I'll try and talk to Nick Hamilton or somebody again to see whether I can just ship another load of packages to be sent from the UK to America. Maybe next week I'll have a chance to work on that. But it's absolutely ludicrous. But please don't let that put you off ordering anything if you are from America. I'm keeping everything by, all. I mean, it will be up and running again at some point, and I'll just have a huge backlog of packages to send to America. So Extended Network double LP, and even When Worlds Collide, that double LP as well. Anyway, I think I've said everything I want to. I've got loads of stuff to talk about from other people. People that have sent me stuff to review, even an album that's 15 hours long by the Sandrays, and it's on a USB as well. I don't know when they think I'll have 15 hours spare for that. But anyway, I mean, that's taking self-indulgence to another level, I think. But I'm sure the music's good. I seem to remember really enjoying a previous Sandrays album. but I don't know when I'll get to that. I'll probably have to listen to it in 45-minute installments. So that's it. That's if and when I ever get to it. I don't generally listen to stuff on my computer, so not unless I'm checking something out on YouTube. Anyway, and yeah. Another thing I should shout out is the Degeneration 2 magazine with a CD with Controlled Bleeding and Mark Perry, ATV, and who else? Paula Moss. Oh, that's Controlled Bleeding. Sorry. Val Denham, Dorothy Max Pryor, Gary Livermore, Einstürzen Neubauten. Yeah. Various other things. So I've got copies of that in stock as well. And that's how I want to end today's upload. Already up to over 31 minutes. So I've been revamping the shop. So amongst other things, I've been revamping the shop during the past week, and I'm still working on it. It's being given a complete overhaul, and it's now accommodating some mail order items, which I'm adding to daily. But partly, I think I've got so much dead stock that well, I mean, it's not completely dead, but it just isn't doing that well, and it's just sitting here. I'm sure other people could sell it all right, but not me. I might just keep it to between 50 and 100 items, and just keep it revolving. Just keep doing regular updates, changing the stock whenever I can. At the moment, it hints at where I want to take it, but I want to kind of expand on it a little more. And yeah, there's a mail order wing in the shop basically. So yeah, check it out. I don't think there's anything else I need to say. Yeah, I mentioned American Post being a problem. I mentioned the latest delays with releases, the fact that there's no money here, the fact that I'm going to have to look at selling more of my record collection, probably, just to survive and pay this impending bill. Yeah, it's ridiculous. So many releases and so many of them just sat here. Anyway. So yeah, now's the time. If you feel like supporting Fourth Dimension Records and Lubbers and Trading Company and the upcoming books and everything else that I'm doing, there's going to be a donation link below, and there will be links to the shop with its mail order wing, and yeah, all orders gratefully received. So yeah, and it's snowing here today. So, fucking awful. And on that cheery note, I'm going. I'll be back soon, and I'll try to do some shout outs or some reviews of some of the. I mean, I've got piles of stuff here. So I'll try and devote another upload next week to other people's music. I've had a few other things sent to me as well. So, yeah, as I said, there's a huge pile that needs attention. I might only mention things briefly, but I'll at least mention them anyway. Yeah, and that's it. Thanks a lot. I'll be back here soon. Back to my coffee.